Eagles. Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Tuesday edition of Birds 365, the final day of 2024. Happy New Year's Eve to everybody as we ring in a new year here on Birds 365 coming up tomorrow. So happy New Year's Eve and enjoy the final day of 2024. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this final day of 2024, Tuesday morning?
Well, I got a little bit of a cold, so I could be better, but I'll fight through it. It's that time of year.
Bringing in the new year with the cold, Johnny Mac.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
That sucks. I blame everybody at the Eagles game the other day. Germ-infested trap that it is. People got to wash their hands, but yeah, anyway, I'll get through it.
Good stuff, Johnny Mac. Great game in the NFL last night between the Lions and the Niners. We'll talk a little bit about that. Some news in Eagle land. Well, not much news, but some stuff to talk about, some stuff to break down, and we will do all that today. I want to welcome and thank everybody for watching this morning, for those in the live chat, for those who are consuming the show after the fact. We appreciate each and every one of you. So hit that like button, drop your comments below. Let us know what you think of the show. I always read everybody's comments after the show is over. So big thanks to all of you guys for contributing to the show. John, before I do want to ask about that. I got to talk about that Lions-Niners game, but I do want to get the Eagles updates. Any Eagle updates as we get ready for the playoffs? I know Nick Sirianni spoke yesterday, said he doesn't have a decision yet on what he's going to do with the starters. I think it's pretty obvious what they're going to do at this point, but anything out of Eagle land, anything you took away from Nick Sirianni's presser yesterday?
Yeah, a lot of we'll see. That's
right.
Nick's. He knows. He's not starting anybody. Some guys have to play. We talk about it's not the preseason. There's not 90 players, so some guys have to play. But the super key players are obviously going to be protected as much as possible. I don't think they're going for the record if that disappoints people. I think the goal was obvious by how they approached last week. If people were paying attention, they wanted 2,000. A couple guys admitted that after the game. They wanted to get them to 2,016 games. That was very important to them. For whatever reason, I don't even think they should listen to outside voices when it comes to stuff like that. But and then as soon as he got 2,000, they immediately removed him. There was still 11 minutes left to go or something, somewhere around that. They could have kept him, and he could be 20 yards away if they wanted, or certainly a little bit closer if that was the goal. So they already laid the breadcrumbs out as far as how they were going to handle that. And if for some reason Green Bay beat Minnesota or San Francisco beat Detroit, they would have played everybody if there was a little bit of a chance. And the NFL would have likely set that up so they were all playing at the same time. So you start doing a little bit of scoreboard watching. That's what happened last year. The Eagles had a chance to win the NFC East. But it became very clear early in the game that Dallas was going to blow out Washington. Nick was talking about this a little bit yesterday, and about his history in the playoffs and how he's handled things. They had a chance, and they started everybody, and they were going to try to win the game. Then it became very clear there was going to be no opportunity. And by that point, not only did they lose the game against the Giants, which was meaningless from that point because Dallas was going to win, but A.J. Brown got hurt. Reed Blankenship got hurt. Sidney Brown got hurt. That's the risk. And it happened last year. And I think people will say, it doesn't matter because they stunk and they were in the middle of the collapse. Maybe, but maybe not. I know they would have been a hell of a lot more competitive if AJ and Reed specifically were out there. And they weren't. So, be careful what you wish for, but I don't think you're going to have to worry about it because Nick's going to rest as many people as he can.
What does that look like, John, resting as many people? I mean, just break it down for me. Like, who do you expect to rest in this game? Because you can't really rest everybody, can you? You got to field the football team. So I'm thinking O-line, Jalen Hurts, Saquon, AJ Devontae, probably like Jalen Carter, obviously Darius Slay, an older guy.
Yeah,
Maybe Zach
anybody's got it,
Bond.
like N'Kobe Dean, Zach Bond. Yeah, you'll probably see a lot of Trotter and Oren Burks.
Right.
You know, some of the younger players, maybe they give them a little bit of time. The Josh Sweats of the world, the guys who rest on Wednesdays. So you'll see tomorrow. You'll see the big list of rest players. They're not going to play. Most of the offensive line, probably all of the offensive line, as you mentioned, AJ, Devontae, Jalen, Saquon. It's interesting because they have more on offense than defense, but the defense is technically better.
Yeah, right.
But we talked a little about comparing them to the Lions offense. It's like comparing anybody to the Lions offense is like light and
Yeah, we're going to talk about that because that offense moves the football, Johnny Mac.
yeah, it just looks so easy for them.
I mean, it really does.
It's really impressive to watch, but and you look at the Eagles' talent and you say, why can't it be like that? Well, I don't know. If they knew, they would fix it and they do it, but
It certainly doesn't look like that. You know,
no.
like I said to you before the show, people can tell themselves whatever they want.
Yeah,
This offense with all this talent looks nothing like an offense like that.
And nobody does. I mean,
yeah,
no, Kansas City 15, technically a better record. They're going to rest their players. Minnesota, which is going to get a shot at Detroit next week. Great offense, but it doesn't look like that. So there's no comparisons. Buffalo doesn't look like that. Nothing looks like. You got to go back to the greatest show on turf, Rams, really, for the last offense that looked like that. So it's a high bar. You got to give them credit for, putting that bar where it is. And yeah, we'll talk about it, but fourth downs are a big part of it as well.
Yep.
Defensively, yeah, I mean, obviously, guys have to stay healthy. Younger players, big opportunities for guys like Moro Ojomo and Thomas Booker, Jalix Hunt. You're going to see a ton of these players. They mentioned Jeremiah Trotter Jr., Oren Burks at linebacker. Isaiah Rodgers will probably play the whole game. Tristan McCullum, Sidney Brown, which will be big for him. These are the players I think you're going to see a ton of on Sunday. And that's how they should handle it.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they end up doing. Just to play devil's advocate on it, John. This is a historic record, man. It's hard. I know that they're fighting for a bigger goal, but let's just say this team gets bounced in the playoffs. I mean, you got one chance at this, John. One chance. Saquon Barkley's never going to rush for 2,000 yards again in this year, or at least most likely not. I guess I should never say never, but I put it at less than 5% chance. Just to play devil's advocate, you had 16 games. You could have got hurt in all those 16 games. Now you're going to shy away in the last moment when you're 101 yards away. Any chance the players are in that room like, man, we want to play. We want to get this record. It's not just
I think you saw it last night. I mean, technically that game was, now it's a little bit different, but that game's not relevant to Detroit. Dan Campbell got a lot of criticism for playing his guys. Now, I think it's a little bit different because you'd be stopping during the season and then expecting to start again in the regular season and finish off. Because even if they lost that game, they're still, if they beat Minnesota, they're still the NFC North champions, the number 1 seed. So last night's game meant nothing. And they fought and they went out there and it looks like they got out of it pretty clean. I wasn't paying that close of attention, but I didn't
see it. Yeah, there was no big crazy injury in that game or anything.
So, you can, he got a lot of criticism. I think it's a little bit different for the stop and start aspect of it, but Yeah, I mean, Joe Banner put out there yesterday, former Eagles president, really the start of this era of Eagles football as far as building the organization with Andy Reid and Jeffrey Lurie. Tweeted, I know the Eagles people and culture pretty well. I would be beyond shocked if Barkley plays next week. The entire culture is built around team first and to celebrate individual success, but it's a distant second to team first. The team first part drives everything they do.
And it
It's the
is
reason,
even the quarterback embodies that. You know,
yeah,
when they ask him about his statistics, and he goes, "I don't care about my
yeah.
statistics. I want to win games." So you're
I
right.
mean,
That is
they
culture.
drive it home,
Knows
and that's and that's for fans. They should that's one of the reasons. That's, as simple as it sounds, that sets them apart from most organizations. And yeah, I mean, again, situation matters. If they weren't a legitimate Super Bowl contender, even if they were a 7 seed like they were in 2021, I would listen to those arguments and say, yeah, go get it. Go try and get it, because it is a big record. But when you're a legitimate Super Bowl contender, and I think there's about 5 legitimate Super
right.
Bowl
I agree with
contenders.
that. 5 might even be. Yeah, five's probably about where I'm at too.
No, I can't. I'm sorry. No, I won't even, like, I'm not even debating it. Like, it's not even a debate to me. And I think and the best part is I think Saquon understands that. I don't think he's got a problem with it. That doesn't mean he wouldn't like the record. Again, he talked about it the other night. Everybody's a human being. Of course you'd like
Right.
the record. Just like Eric Dickerson doesn't want him to break the record. But part of this is, there's 2 things about this record. You got 3 things. You have to be phenomenally talented, obviously. 2, you got to stay healthy. You got to be able to handle the grind of that many touches to get to that point. And 3, you got to be on a good team, but not a great team. Look at the record. From O.J. Simpson, bad team, ran the ball well. Derek Dickerson, good team, not a great team. And guys even pushed. Adrian Peterson, who I covered, average team. Chris Johnson, good team, not a great team. Sean Alexander had a big year. Good team, not a great team. I don't want that. I mean, I want it for the player.
I get exactly what you're saying.
There's loftier goals. There's loftier goals. And I think everybody in that building is on board with it. And there's a couple guys who say, yeah, play the fence and say, yeah, I'd like to go for it. I know I was just reading our buddy BLG's Bleeding Green Nation saying some of the offensive linemen said they want to go for it. Some of they all know they're on the same page. There's some guys that are political, like Jordan Mailata. You'd love to get it for him, but he knows he's not fighting to play. He knows the situation. They have a chance to have a great team, and that overcomes any, because no one's going to feel satisfied if the only way you feel satisfied, you want your cake and eat it too, is if Saquon gets the record and you win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want the cake and eat it too, Johnny Mac.
And that'd be great. And if it happened organically, great. Didn't. And one goal is pretty significantly greater than the other.
That's true. I want them to get it, but I understand what you're saying, and I'm also aware that the organization is 99.9% chance not going to play the starters. So I do understand that completely. John, I do want to talk about a couple of the Eagles' upcoming playoff opponents. We already know. So for those just checking in, for those who might not be privy to what's going on in the NFL or who can't follow it as closely, that's perfectly fine. That's what we're here for. The Eagles are locked in at the number 2 seed in the NFC. There is only 2 potential teams that they can play in round number 1. All right. So It's going to be Eagles at home, and they're going to play either the Commanders or the Packers. Those are the only two options that the Eagles will have in round one. Everybody else is locked in. So Commanders or Packers, that's who the Eagles are facing in round one in the city of brotherly love at Lincoln Financial Field on January 11th or 12th, one of those days, whenever they set the schedule. So get your popcorn ready, everybody. It's coming. The playoffs are almost here. John, that's the one exciting thing about it being December 31st. I was thinking about this last night, and I'm like, man, December 31st, we're really reaching the end of football now. I mean, this is the crunch time. In a month and 10 days or whatever it is, we're going to have a Super Bowl champion. So lock in, everybody. This is going to be the best month of the year, and the Eagles are a Super Bowl contender, a legitimate one, as John pointed out. So it should be a fun run, but those are going to be the two teams. Before we talk about those two teams, John, I do want to run back some conversation on that Lions team because they're the class of the NFC right now. They have a big game next week versus the Vikings, flex Sunday Night Football. The winner will get the 1 seed. Vikings versus Lions. It's going to be a great game next Sunday night. But, boy, I watched that Lions offense last night, John, and their defense has some problems. I will admit that right away. Their defense has some problems, but that offense, they go up and down the field like butter, John, like butter. I mean, there's almost no resistance to what they're able to do. And then you pointed out the fourth downs, 4th and 3, 4th and 6, doesn't matter. They go for it, and most of the time they get it. They didn't complete one last night, but I thought it was. Honestly, I wanted to see them go underneath with it. They went to the end zone and wasn't complete, but they're a tough. They're a tough team, man. They are a tough team to beat. And we had one comment in here. Let me see if I can find it real quick because I don't want to shit on him, but I do want to. I do want to tell him I think he's way off base.
I saw somebody say Barkley's on a good team too.
Well, here's Yoshiwara. Look at he checks in. He says, "We don't want it to look like that. Effing laterals and fake fumbles. We don't care about that shit." Well, Yoshiwara, let me just give you a rundown real quick, okay? They have 4 players now that are going to be over 1,000 yards this year. They got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, David Montgomery, and Jahmyr Gibbs. All 4. They're the first team in NFL history to have 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers all get 1,000 yards. They have 1 game of less than 20 points. They have 2 games of 50-plus points, 6 games of 40-plus points, 9 games of 30-plus points, and 15 games of 20-plus points. And they have a plus 200 point differential. So you might not like laterals. That offense is insane. Johnny Mac.
Yeah. People love to talk themselves into things. Like if you're a football fan and you say we don't want Detroit's offense, you're not paying attention. This is one of the great offenses of all time. The relentlessness of the offense is just a small part of it, and that's the stuff where you're looking at 3rd and long and you're a typical team. Yeah, we don't want to hook and ladder it. Well, yeah, you can't. That's why you don't want to do it. And you don't want to be effective in those types of situations. So many teams you want to flip the field, play cautiously. They don't do that. So you better show up with your big boy pants and prepare to outscore them. Because they're not going to play how you want to play. They're not going to run the football and churn the clock. They can run the football. They can run the football as effectively as anybody. But they are going to stress you from minute 1 to minute 60. And the only comparison is to go back to the greatest show on turf, Rams from St. Louis, who did the same thing. And a little bit of it different. It was more pass heavy, but they also had Marshall Faulk as well, so they had tremendous playmakers. Yeah, I don't know how anybody can look at that offense and say, I don't want that. What the hell don't you want? That like the assumption, oh, they run one hook and ladder. Oh, that's a gimmick. They do some wacky stuff with Ben Johnson. That's not the meat and potatoes of it.
No, it's not.
That's wide open play action receivers all over the place. That's Jahmyr Gibbs turning into Sonic in front of your eyes. And who knows, David Montgomery might be back now. We'll see how that factors into it. Great offensive line, just like the Eagles. This is what we all thought the Eagles offense would be. Not not this explosive, but similar in a different vision as far as dominating, and it hasn't been. So to say you're an Eagles fan and you don't like what the Lions do, that's fine, but understand you're wearing the Eagles glasses because that offense is a problem. And you're going to have to win a shootout to beat them. And you're going to have to play well on fourth downs to beat them on a particular game day. And if you don't, you're going to get rolled over. And if you try to sit there and say, we're going to run the football and we're going to shorten the game, good luck. This is exactly what I'm talking about. When we were talking midway through the season about they got to get the passing game going. They got to get the passing game. It was about Detroit, really. And some other teams that can score as well. But number one, first and foremost, Detroit. Because they're going to score. And throw out all your number one defenses and lockdown corner. They're going to score. And you better be able to keep up.
They sure are. And then, there's a lot of people in the chat who are like, oh, we have the number one defense. That's fine. I mean, what do you say to that though, John? Because I get it. And I do say we are maybe the one team that matches up with them better, because if you can create some offensive stop or some defensive stops on that team, their defense is obviously suspect. Now, their defense, the thing about their defense is they get beat, but then they also make plays.
They make
two big interceptions last night.
No, the defense, there's a lot of issues with that defense, mainly injuries.
Also, the 49ers are the number 2 overall defense in the NFL. So for anybody like the 49ers, just to give context, because I don't know why people can't see this. I'm an Eagle fan. I like good football, guys.
Well,
the Detroit Lions are a good football team. The 49ers went 3 straight drives with a touchdown last night. And then on the 4th drive of the half, they had a chance for points and their kicker missed the field goal. They came out and got another touchdown to start the second half. They were 4 for 5 on their opening drives in scoring touchdowns. One play later, or a couple plays later, made by the Detroit team, and you got a multi-score lead. We got the number 1 overall defense, but John, it's more evident than ever that in the modern NFL, good offenses are beating good defenses now.
Yeah, a good offense beats good defense, I would say, number one. And Nick Bosa was playing like Nick Bosa last night. He had Defensive Player of the Year, Nick Bosa. He had 2 sacks, 4 tackles for loss. Fred Warner was Fred Warner.
Did you see that hit he took too? I couldn't believe he came back. It looked like he crunched his neck, man. He's a tough dude.
I didn't see that, but
yeah, he was knocked out of the game for like a play, and he went into the protocol, and he got clear right away. But I was surprised he came back. It was a hard hit to his neck.
Yeah, I mean, and Fred Warner was out there playing well. I saw Fred making some play. They have a good defense. The Eagles have the number 1 defense. The Eagles have had a great year defensively, but you saw some of the holes in Washington. If you're not on your P's and Q's, if you're not getting a 4-man rush, it's going to be very difficult to get a 4-man rush against an offensive line like Detroit, because you don't have a Nick Bosa-like player, which has been one of the issues. And then defensively, I do think people underrate, Jack Campbell's turned into a pretty good linebacker. Brian Branch is one of my favorite players in the NFL.
Yeah.
Heck of a defensive player. TJ Reader's a very good defensive player up front.
Joseph, 9 picks this year, John.
Kirby Joseph, is a playmaker. The other, Melifano, is a very good safety. Remember, C.J. Gardner-Johnson was on that team and could not start because of Joseph and Melifano. And C.J.'s obviously a playmaker. They still have good players. They traded for Zadarius Smith. A lot of people thought the Eagles should have made that move. They still have good players on defense. Josh Pascal's a good young player. And Angelone's supposed to be back for the playoffs. We'll see how that shakes out, but I don't know. They're not, they do have some guys who can make some plays on defense still. It's a very good team. I expect them to win next week. I expect them to get the number 1 seed. And, that's going to be a tough place to go.
Yes, it is. No doubt about it. Good stuff. A lot of good teams in the NFC. You think Lions get the win next week, John, versus the Vikings? You said that?
I do. Yeah. I mean, it's at Ford Field.
Yeah.
The Vikings are a very good team. Maybe the second best offense I've seen. But the difference between 1 and 2 is stark. I mean, like we were talking before, it just looks easy for them.
It does. It does. Absolutely does.
And a lot of people want to give Ben Johnson credit. I always give the players credit first. Jared Goff's tremendously accurate. I would say the one thing is, if you get him, if you hurry him, if you get a big pass rush day, he had that one anomaly in Houston where he threw 5 interceptions and he still won the game, which talks to the relentlessness of their offense. As you mentioned, San Francisco was just scoring. They didn't even blink. That's what reminds me of the Rams. The Kurt Warner Rams, they would do that. They would turn the ball over occasionally because they're always pressing. They're always stressing you. And they're like, we'll get it back. We'll score in a minute. I get that feel with this Lions team. And yeah, everybody should be rooting for Minnesota because, not that it's an easy place to play. U.S. Bank Stadium. I know Merrill Reese told me he hates going there because it's so loud. Either place is very difficult to play, but I like the way the Eagles match up with the Vikings because the Vikings have bad corners and their weakness on the offensive line is center and left guard. And that's Jalen Carter territory. So I like the matchup.
Right.
The Lions, I don't like the matchup. I don't like it at all. At all. I think the Eagles would have to win 45-40. And I don't think it's capable. I don't think they're capable.
45-40. Well, I do think a lot of bad defense in that game last night. I'll say that. But the 49ers, as I mentioned, they're good defense, John. They're number 2 to the Eagles. Eagles are 1. 49ers are 2. You look at that's total defense in yards allowed per game. Look at the passing defense. Eagles are number 2 in the NFL in passing defense. 49ers.
The Eagles have a very good defense. I'm not trying to disparage Eagles
last
defense.
night, for the people saying, well, we have a great defense. Well, the 49ers have a good defense too. That's not like some shitty Swiss cheese defense that's been getting shredded all year. They have their metrics are great. The Lions' metrics are almost as good as them, or as good as the Eagles. So the Lions can do it versus anybody. It's going to be interesting to see how that game goes. John, let's dive into the Eagles' playoff opponents now for that round 1 matchup. You got the Packers or the Commanders. It's one of those two, Johnny Mac. So as I mentioned, Eagles, number 2 seed. All right, we're locked in at the number 2 seed. We're going to play the Packers or we're going to play the Commanders. I asked you this yesterday, but I do want to talk about each team. You'd rather play Commanders, obviously, first, right? That would be my preference for sure.
Yeah.
But it looks more likely now that the Packers is who we're going to play.
Look, you got to beat good teams in the playoffs. So, it's amazing to me. I guess because it's not like I've seen so many fans say, oh, I'm worried about Green Bay. I'm worried about Washington. And then they're not worried about Detroit. If you're that good and you're that secure with them playing Detroit, you shouldn't be worried about either of those teams. So I'll say that. So it's kind of weird, that dichotomy. But yeah, the 2 teams, because I think Green Bay is more explosive. I don't like the way they play. I mentioned that a little bit yesterday. So, I don't know if Matt LaFleur is going to wake up in 1 week after week 18, so in 2 weeks. But they scare me because of the talent. If the Eagles play well against Washington, which they did not do a couple weeks ago, they should beat that team pretty handily. They're not there from a talent perspective yet, I don't think. Washington, and certainly can't compete with the Eagles from that perspective. So on paper, that to me is the much easier matchup. I think Green Bay is very talented.
Yeah, well,
I
that's right now. It looks like it's going to be Green Bay. So
yeah, I think it's a very talented team that is not coached that well, doesn't play the way it should be playing. But anytime you have players that can make plays, it's got to be somewhat of a concern.
we'll see how it goes. How do you like the matchup versus the Packers, John? I mean, what do you see there? What sticks out to you in terms of that matchup? They're a good team. I think they're a little streaky, and sometimes they just don't look that good. Sometimes Jordan Love looks great. Sometimes Jordan Love looks like
Well, I think that's part of the
he's not
way.
that great. Yeah.
If you looked at last week and how they this week coming off, I mean, they're down 27-10. They're getting boat raced, and all of a sudden they start to pick up the pace and throw the football all over the field, and they're right back in the game with a chance to win it late. That's the way they should play, open-ended. But, they have Josh Jacobs, who's had a big year. They try to play conservatively off the bat, or more balanced, or however you want to describe it. And that's not the way they should be playing. And it affects the quarterback. He doesn't get into a rhythm. Very similar to here, to be honest. And then if he gets into a rhythm, it looks awesome. And then they go back and default to doing it again. And I just don't think they do it the way they should be doing it. But, talent-wise, they can match up with anybody. They have so many playmakers on offense. They're 4 receivers deep. They got 2 good tight ends now that Musgrave is back. Tyler Kraft might be the best tight end nobody knows. That dude's having a big year.
Tucker Kraft, right?
Tucker Kraft.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Tyler. I don't know where I got that. He's having a great year. He's always open. But, Christian Watson's hurt again. He's always, he might be in and out. Who knows if he'll be healthy. He missed the Vikings game this week. But when he's out there, you got Jaden Reed, you got Dobbs, you got Wicks, you even have Melton and Watson. I mean, they have so many receivers, as I mentioned, the 2 tight ends. They're good defensively. They have a great cover corner if he's healthy. Again, healthy. Jair Alexander should be back for the playoffs. Edgerrin Cooper is a guy who started to show up as a rookie that a lot of Eagles fans wanted in the draft. He's turning into a player. They made a trade. They traded Preston Smith at the trade deadline to open up sort of playing time for Ngbare, who's a really good player. Lucas Van Ness. They have good linebackers. They're a good team. They're a really good team. Like, if you look on paper and say, who are the most talented teams, you're probably looking at Philadelphia, Detroit, obviously, Minnesota, and then Green Bay. And Green Bay should be in the conversation with the other 3, but they haven't been able to beat the other 3. But they have similar talent, which is always scary if it clicks on a particular game day.
No doubt. We'll see how they match up. should be a good playoff. Now, I said I don't think that's a great hand we were dealt, but the thing I love about it is what a good.
Well, you got to beat good teams in the playoffs.
I mean, you're going to play the 7th seed in round 1, and you're getting the Packers. I mean, it's going to be a great playoffs. The NFC is really shaping up to be a great conference, which is awesome. AFC is too. The AFC is better quarterbacks. NFC is better teams.
Yeah, I agree. The top 4 teams, and that's who I consider the top 4 teams in the NFC. Put them in any order you want. Detroit, Minnesota, Philadelphia, Green Bay by record. By talent, those are the 4 best teams as well. And Green Bay is the one who probably a lot of people don't believe in the Vikings, but they're extremely talented. If you look at their roster, you go, what the fuck? When did that happen? You talk about playmakers. They might have the best playmakers of all, Minnesota. But if Green Bay, I've never been a big Matt LaFleur fan, and he wins tons of games. Now he parachuted into a great situation with Aaron Rodgers still playing at an MVP level at that time. So they won a lot of games. He's got a great record, very similar to Nick Sirianni. But boy, I just don't like the way they play. Don't like it. I think that's your biggest advantage as an Eagles fan.
We'll see how it goes here in the playoff. Looking forward to it, John. December 31st here. Hit that like button, everybody. Got a good crowd in here today on New Year's Eve. Look at that. Appreciate all of you guys for being here. I got a super chat here I'm going to get to. Scott Squad checked in, John. He sent this in when we were talking about the Lions. He said, defense wins championships. Our D will put pressure. A lot of that, John. A lot of that in Eagle Land. What do you say to it?
Perpetually in 1975. Well, I'll give you 85.
Well, there's been some recent examples. I remember Peyton Manning's Super Bowl with the Broncos. That's the one that sticks out to me in recent memory. Von Miller, I think, was the MVP of that game.
Yeah, Peyton was at the
tail end.
Well, the Denver team. I mean, Peyton Manning. It's when he first got to Denver, he had a historic offensive season. I think he had 50 touchdown passes. Was absurd. Then he hurt his neck. Look, I think people get mixed up. Generally, when you're good, you're good. You're good offensively. You're good defensively. You might even be good on special teams. It's a matter of how good. Where I constantly say the game has changed is good offense beats great offense beats great defense. It used to be, as the commenter said, great defense beats great offense in 1975. In 2025, great offense beats great defense. Doesn't mean every week. Doesn't mean you can't. There's a million. How many times do I tell you, Zander? There's a million different ways to win an NFL game. The whole goal is to increase the margin of error. And you can beat Detroit. You can beat Kansas City. You can beat Minnesota. You can beat anybody, whoever you think is the best team. If you do it the way the Eagles are trying to do it, if you do it the way Green Bay is trying to do it, your margin of error is smaller. Like I said, if you're playing Detroit, if that's the NFC Championship game, you better have your best fourth down day of the season.
Yeah.
Can you do it? Of course you can do it.
You need the best game of the year from Jalen Hurts. You need the best game of the year from Saquon Barkley. You need the best game of the year from A.J. Brown and the offensive line. I mean, you better show up on offense. You're going up against those teams.
If you look at last night, San Francisco, an example, they're scoring all over the place. Score, and then they get a missed field goal and an airmail from Brock Purdy, and the game is over. Bang! That quick. And it looks closer on paper than it was at the end. They're playing great. They're clicking on all cylinders, and they make a couple mistakes. That kicker's having a really tough time of it out there recently. And then Purdy airmails the one throw. It's like an arena game. And it's like you get one stop and it changes the whole game.
It does. It does remind me a little bit of Arena. It's a good comp. I used to watch Arena football.
Yeah.
My dad used to work with the Philadelphia Soul when I was a little kid, John.
That
I
was
used
the
to go to
whole
all
goal
the
of arena.
yeah.
I used to cover some arena football. It was the
Yeah.
whole goal for a defense. Get one stop and you change the whole game. That's sort of a little bit of what you're dealing with Detroit. And they play that way, you know. There's other teams that are very talented, like the Eagles, like Minnesota, like Kansas City, like Buffalo, but they don't play that way. They don't play to the point where they're putting. That's one of the things I've talked about with the fourth down aggression. It was such a huge advantage for the Eagles, and they begged off because of the pressure. They begged off because of the pressure, and Detroit went the opposite way. And Dan Campbell says, "You know what? Fuck you. I don't care. I'll move." And he did move. But he puts incredible pressure on teams and stress on defenses by doing the way he does. Now he's got to have great players. He's got to have a great offensive coordinator. He's got all that. And then you got to play 4 downs. So you're Big Fangio, and you got to go into a typical week. I play good defense for 3 downs. Now you got to go do it for a 4th down against that team.
Real Zeal checks in. He says all you have to do is make one 4th down stop, and that's like getting a turnover. I think the key there, though, Zeal, is you got to capitalize. If you stop, you got to come down and score a touchdown, because if you watched the game last night, the Niners did get a stop on 4th down
Yeah, it ain't
late
about
in the
one.
first half.
They're going to
and then
do
they
it
got no
again
points
and
out of it.
again and again
Yep,
and
I
again.
know.
Ain't
Now,
about
where
one.
he's right though, John. I'm not saying it'll end the game, but if you do get a 4th down stop and you're able to get a touchdown, that is your moment to capitalize on a team like Detroit. But like I said, you got to score the points. You got to get the
Well, and
touchdown.
San Francisco did that last year. Was it San? When they lost the championship game last year, they had a bunch
Yeah, it was
of
San Francisco. San Francisco went
drop
to the-
passes. And then they executed, and the players didn't make the plays, and it bit them in the end. And I think people look at that and say, "See, I bit them in the end." Well, it's like same thing in Washington. That's like saying in Washington, well, you know, if the Commanders fans are expecting Devontae Smith to drop that football again, that ain't a good plan.
right.
That ain't a good fucking plan.
That's hope.
Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about when I say margin of error. They have increased, they've gone past where the Eagles were. The Eagles set the curve on this in 2017, and they have fallen behind Detroit. I mean, it has given Detroit the advantage over the Eagles, who are still one of the most aggressive teams. And how much shit does Nick Sirianni get when it doesn't work? Was just talking about that. I was talking about Kyle Shanahan, yes, before the show with Zander. The hardest thing to do in this league is to shut out the outside noise and do what you know is best, but will be portrayed as dumb if it doesn't work. That is the hardest thing to do in this league, because the avalanche of shit will cause you to lose your job, number one.
Right. And the outside noise is so big in this league.
It is
man.
so big. Like, I know Kyle Shanahan knew Sam Darnold was better than Brock Purdy. Even Kyle Shanahan, somebody with that stature, can't pull the plug on Brock Purdy. Even though deep in the recesses of his mind, where he's drinking a Jameson or he's thinking to himself, he's going, Jesus Christ, I got a better quarterback in the same room, and I can't play him, because they're a slave of their own success. But all that's not going to stay in a stasis. So, he should have. The one guy who did it was Jim Harbaugh. And I'll be the first to admit, when he benched Alex Smith for Colin Kaepernick, I was like, are you insane? They were such a good team, but he knew he had a better quarterback. And he used an Alex Smith injury, and they made it all the way to the Super Bowl. They lost the Super Bowl to his brother, but
Yep.
so one guy was able to do it. That's an extreme example when you're talking about the most important position. But even this year, if you want to take it locally to Philadelphia, when we're all saying this passing game's got to get better, everybody in the building knew it. Everybody knew it. It's got to get better. You got to get it going. It's going to bite you in the ass at some point. And everybody outside, while they're winning, they're not losing. Just play this way. Just play this way. It is so hard to say, we got to fix this shit. It's not just the Eagles, it's everybody.
Got a couple more chats I want to get to here. John, to me, when I think about that Lions team, what's the best way to beat them in your opinion? When I look at them, I know the defense is spotty. I'm trying to run the ball and have 10-minute drives to keep that offense off the field.
Well, yeah, that's another part. It's hard to be honest with yourself. Like we talk about, Jody and I would talk about the coin toss far too much because Jody's obsessed with it. But like if you win the coin toss, take the fucking ball.
I know, and go on a nice long drive to start the game.
Eagles won't do that though. The ego's too big. They'll defer. And say, first of all, you got to beat Green Bay or Washington. You got to beat a bunch. But if it's the NFC, for sake of argument, that's what we do on this show. If you win the damn coin toss, take the ball, try to shorten the game. But the ego's too big. They won't do it. They'll defer. They'll probably be down 7-0. Then you're off and running.
Do you think it's about ego there? Isn't that just the right decision based on opponent?
Complete ego. No, the right decision would be to take the football.
Yeah, and
I'm saying they win the toss. They're deferring. That's what they do.
Not the team to do that against.
No, but you don't want to admit to yourself that this team's good and potentially better, and say I have to play differently against this team because this team is that good. They don't do that. And some people might think it's a good thing to have that kind of confidence, but I don't think it's confidence. I think it's hubris. I think it's, it doesn't matter. We're better than everybody else. We'll stop this offense. You're just playing into it. Green Bay's the one team I just criticized Matt LaFleur. They try to set the tone. If they win the toss against a good team, they'll take the football. But then he ends up running Josh Jacobs run, and ends up punting the football anyway. Not that Josh Jacobs isn't a good player. He's having a great year. But that's what they did against Minnesota this week. And if you watch it, they did get one first down, and then Jacobs fumbled, strip, bang. Minnesota's got the ball going the other way. Instead of stressing them with the bad cornerbacks with all the receivers they have. So I'm with you. I take the ball, try to shorten the game. I don't think in a million years the Eagles would do that.
No, they probably wouldn't. As people in the chat point out, it's an analytic thing at this point, isn't it? I mean,
the goal is, it's not even analytics. The goal is
you want the ball in the second half.
The best case scenario is you sandwich the second quarter and third quarter with scores.
Right.
And that's the analytic part of it. If you do that, if you're able to score and then get the ball and score again, you win 90+% of the time. That's the analytics part of it. And that's great against normal teams. Against 90% of the time, if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, probably more than 90% of the times, if I win the toss, I'm deferring. There are certain teams, Detroit being number one, if I win the toss, I'm going to play it a different way. But if you're Nick Sirianni, you don't want to send that message to your team. There's a lot of things that factor into it. Because if you do it, and you say, all right, what kind of message does that send to your team? That is more of where I'll listen to it and say, all right, that makes some sense.
Right.
Doesn't send a great message. But I think you're trying to win the game. I'm trying to win the game. And guys got to be tough enough to say, you know what? This team scores a lot. Let's try to win the time of possession and shorten the game.
Yeah, that's fair. And you don't hear John say much that he would take the ball. I'll say that. Eagles all day, 215, checked in. Member for 1 month. By the way, Eagle all day. Thanks for being a member. We will do our Saquon Barkley jersey giveaway today in after hours. So big thanks to everybody that's a member. If you're not a member, get your memberships in. We'll be doing the jersey giveaways all through the postseason. Anytime Saquon gets over 125, we will do a giveaway. And then I still have our big giveaway. I'm planning to do that after the final regular season game, which will be Sunday and before the playoffs. So put it in your calendars, everybody, sometime next week, and I'll give you the date for that once I decide when to do it. So we'll have the big monster giveaway with all the jerseys, the hats, and the sweatshirts and everything coming up next week. So looking forward to doing that with everybody. Eagle all day says Lions need that offense with the way the defense has been giving up so many points. Yeah, their defense is definitely a little bit of an issue. They give up a lot. Now, John, do you know who they're expected to get back on defense? I know Anzalone's one, but
yeah, Anzalone's the big one. He's a pretty good player, but Jack Campbell turning into their best linebacker. And they're supposed to get Montgomery back on offense, but we'll see how that shakes out. But they do have, I think, people. There's some hope that Aiden Hutchinson could be back for the Super Bowl, I guess.
Which would be insane.
Yeah, but that's not going to affect the Eagles either way. And they would be so far the favorite, I think, if Aiden Hutchinson was out there. But I digress. But I do think people think they don't have good players on defense now, and they do. They got a bunch of Brian Branch is one of my favorite players in the entire NFL. He's so good. Kirby Joseph now has 9 interceptions. He's a big, like I said, CJ Gardner-Johnson's a very good player. I think Eagles fans realize that. Well, he couldn't start in Detroit. Now he got hurt, but he lost his job as well because of Joseph and Melifanu, who is their other safeties very good. DJ Reader, you might remember him from Cincinnati. He's a good interior lineman.
Yep.
Now the problem is, and Jack Campbell, as I said, playing very, very well. Zadarius Smith, everybody knows. Still a very good player, still a very good pass rusher. They still have plenty of good players, but you can imagine what they've lost. Aiden Hutchinson, Alim McNeil, who's tremendous, is gone. Carlton Davis is gone, their best cover corner. Anzalone has not been playing. He's their best linebacker, although Campbell, is probably now playing at a higher level, and he's got more talent. Malcolm Rodriguez, their third linebacker, they lost him. So they lost a bunch of guys, but they still have a bunch of playmakers. And that's kind of what you saw last night. Yeah, they're going to give up some points, but they're also going to get an interception. They're going to make a play. It might be Branch. It might be Joseph. Are going to make a play, and all of a sudden that's going to tip things their way. That's how they've been playing.
Right.
And it's been working. They don't lose much. And, nobody's saying they're not beatable, because I think the Eagles could score a lot of points on this team, but be prepared. I don't think that good defense crap beats good offense. I don't think that's going to work here. You're going to have to outscore them.
You confident the Eagles offense can do that?
No.
I'm not either. I mean, people want, if people want me to be the fan up here and say I am, our offense doesn't look like that, John. It doesn't. Now, I think here's what I do think. I do think we can run on them, and if we control the clock, like I don't anticipate Detroit coming out and stuffing our run game. So if you can do that, I think it gives you a good chance. But if we think we're going to go up and down the field in a shootout with that team, it's just not how we're built. It's not it's how we're built, but it's not how we're playing.
No, it's not. It's not how they're playing. It's part of my problem. I have the same problem with Green Bay. They don't play the right way. I have the same problem with the Eagles. It's tougher. It's a tougher thing to say because the Eagles have a running back who just crossed 2,000 yards and could break the all-time record. Like, I don't want that. I want Detroit's offense. I'm sorry that upsets people. That to me is what you're striving for. Now, this is one of the great offenses of all time. But you should be striving for it. And the Eagles stopped striving for it, which I think is one of the underreported stories of the season because of the success. And there are guys, as I said, behind the scenes trying to fix it and have been trying to fix it this entire time. So it's not like they're not aware of it. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned before the show, and I agree. And I mean, it doesn't look like this, the Eagles offense. And it's not about style points, it's about winning games. I get that. But I think people forget Detroit's got more wins than the Eagles. I mean, they're both top 5. They're both on the short list of true Super Bowl contenders. But that whole the Eagles are winning games, well, Detroit's winning more. So I don't know what the problem is. If you watch this offense, this is what people were envisioning the Eagles offense to be: unstoppable. And it's not, it doesn't look like that offense. Just doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
So, I mean, we're sitting here today on New Year's Eve. And again, you got to get by the Packers. A lot of things have to happen. Detroit's got to get by people. They got to beat Minnesota, which could beat them on Sunday night. A lot of things have to happen. But if it is Philadelphia at Detroit, NFC Championship game, today, if you force me to pick a winner in that game, I would pick Detroit. Might not even come to fruition, but today, I would pick Detroit.
Jay Perfect checks in. He says, is it too early to start talking about next year being Goddard's last year? Injuries are now an issue. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, they're an issue. The Eagles are going to try to get a tight end in the offseason. But yeah, that's an offseason thing.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
sure.
they're desperately trying to get Dallas back for the playoffs because they need them. Not only
blocking, man. Grant Calcaterra can't block a traffic cone.
No, blocking's a big part of it, but also the receiving game's a big part of it because eventually.
Yeah, but my point in that is that Grant can't block at all. He can receive a little bit. He's made some receptions, so the drop off there isn't as big as he lined him up the block. He's a turnstile.
Yeah, he's not. That's not the strength of his game. That's fair.
Not.
Yeah, Dallas is a very good blocker, which is rare. And that'll help Saquon as well, just to have that extra, because remember, they also, not that they used it a lot, but, Ben Van Sumeren was really coming on as a blocker, as a fullback, and they lost Ben. And, they were lining up Grant Calcaterra at fullback, and that's not the same either. So, yeah, definitely would help to have Dallas Goedert back in the lineup.
Good stuff there. Speaking of next year, we'll talk about that for a brief second after our first commercial break. The Eagles' opponent list next year. Holy shit, everybody. We're going to Kansas City. We're going to Minnesota. You're going to Green Bay. You're going to where was the other? What was the
I know I'm fighting Well, you're a first place team, so you're getting a first place schedule. And I'm fighting a losing battle. But my God, look at the teams this year. Look at the teams up and down.
Yeah,
Look at
right.
San
That's true.
Francisco.
It's true.
Injuries affect every team. 4 or 5 of those teams are going to be decimated by injuries. It's not going to be as daunting as it looks on paper. And no matter how many times I say it, nobody's listening to it. It's not a stasis. It doesn't stay the same. That's why so many of these teams, whether it's Detroit or whether it's Minnesota, Buffalo, Kansas City, has so many championships, and the Eagles. When the window is open, you want to take advantage of it because it can close dramatically very quickly. And it's usually because of injuries. So a bunch of those games, it's a cliche in the NFL, but it's true. It's not who you play, it's when you play them. Even Detroit. I mean, I talked about that. I think the Eagles in that made up NFC Championship game, I think the Eagles have a chance to beat them. If all those players we talked about were injured, were healthy, I would say no shot. So already, attrition has greatly affected a team that is probably going to finish 15-2, which is kind of scary on top of it. But yeah, I wouldn't get worked up about the schedule.
No,
I mean,
not next year. We'll talk about that in the offseason.
Yeah.
But I love the NFL right now, John. The NFL is so damn good right now. And by the way, I appreciate each and every person in the chat who thinks we are batshit insane for doubting the Eagles for a second. I love each and every one of you. It's cool. It's good that you feel that way about your team. Look at Arthur. They lost to a 6-10 team, and Buddy talking about he would take the Lions. Are you fucking kidding me? So the people's belief in the Eagles, John, is high, and I'm good with that, everybody. But we got to give you guys some good content. We got to give you guys something to think about, and that's what we're going to do here. Jay Perfect checked in as a member. He said, ideally, it looks like the 2 seed's the way to go for opponents to play against. I'm starting to wonder this, John. Like, how does it work? Like,
that's what I'm talking about.
If we look at the playoff thing, and let's say Eagles versus Green Bay, Detroit gets the 1. Rams will play the Commanders. Tampa Bay will play Minnesota. Let's just say Eagles, Rams, and Tampa wins because they're the better, or Eagles, Rams, Vikings win. How does that work? Who would we play in round 2 of that? Does it go? How does it go?
The Lions play the lowest seed.
Okay.
Now, but the bigger issue is, and to the point where we're batshit crazy that a 15-2 team is the favorite. The same thing with the number 2 speed. Look, I can't tell you not to tie yourself into a pretzel. There's one bye week. There's one team that gets a bye. You want to be that team. Period. End of sentence. It's never better to get the number 2 seed. Ever. 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 That's common sense. You can talk yourself into anything you want to talk yourself into. You want the number 1 seed. Guess who's not going to lose the first week? The 2 number 1 seeds. Don't have to worry about it. Everybody's wringing their hands. Oh, we can beat Detroit. Yet everybody's wringing their hands about the Green Bay Packers. Oh, what a tough matchup. What a tough matchup. Don't give me this bullshit about the 2 seed. Maybe if you're Penn State in the college football playoffs, and they give you the easiest path and they put it down like that, but that's not how the NFL works. And eventually you're going to have to beat the best team. And notice when the Eagles made the Super Bowl, number 1 seed in 2017, number 1 seed in 2022. Not to say it can't happen. Eli Manning's Giants prove it can happen, but you don't want to go that route. And that's why the loser of next Sunday's game is probably going to be woe is me because they get knocked from the number 1 seed to the number 5 seed, and they got to be a 5th seed with 14 wins. And that's fucking depressing. But that's the way it
Boy,
works.
that's fucking brutal, John.
Yeah.
14 wins and you're a 5 seed. Holy shit.
So, and that's probably going to be Minnesota, and that's going to be fucking depressing for them. So look at that as a potential upset.
They could get bounced in round 1 because if
Tampa,
that happened, I think they'd play Tampa round 1 if Tampa wins.
Yeah, I mean,
in Tampa,
of course, all the teams in the playoffs are good, so anybody can beat anybody. But you know, yeah, that's going to be a hit, human nature wise. That's going to be a hit or if it happens to Detroit. That's why I think people should be rooting for Eagles fans should be rooting for Minnesota because I think the Eagles match up better with Minnesota than Detroit in a potential NFC championship game on the road. But I think Detroit's going to win that game. So, yeah, but I mean, the playoffs, every team is good. Especially on the NFC, it's a lot. I think it's a lot. The NFC is a lot deeper than the AFC. I think, the AFC, some of those teams are. Now, if Atlanta gets in, that's a team that I don't think is playoff worthy at this stage.
Yeah. If they got in, that'd be a gift to everybody, whoever plays them in the NFC. All right, good stuff. Appreciate everybody this morning. A lot of people confident in the Birds, Johnny Mac. I'm reading they think we're batshit insane for thinking any other team even has a chance versus the Birds. I like the confidence, but I will say I don't agree with exactly everything, but that's all right. That's part of the reason you have football discussion, right, Johnny Mac?
Well, yeah. I mean, hey, I'm sorry, but a lot of these same people, wanted Nick fired in week 4. Wanted to jump off a bridge after they lost to Washington. So, yeah, I'm always going to tell you the truth. And the truth isn't that the Philadelphia Eagles are unbeatable. They're a very good team. But, are they the favorites? You're the batshit crazy one if you think they're the favorites.
John Chan says, John hates our confidence. John, can you confirm or deny?
No, I think it's silly. I don't hate it. Why would I hate it? And the confidence is bipolar. The confidence, that's what I hate. Because I'll be the guy if the Eagles lose in the first round talking you off a ledge. I'm not going to say it's the end of the world or it's the worst team in human history. I'm going to tell you how good Green Bay is. And, if a couple things went in a better direction, Philadelphia would have advanced. You're going to be the guys losing your flipping minds, not me. Because this is the NFL. I know how good these other teams are. One thing I've learned about being in Philadelphia, people are very provincial. They don't watch other teams. They don't know how good these players are on these other teams. Very, very hometown centric. Not everybody, but the vast majority. Like, I mean, you guys talk about Detroit like they're garbage. I mean, I don't think
Detroit's garbage. I think most people know that Detroit is not garbage. I mean, come on, everybody in the chat. Detroit's a good football team.
I mean,
I love football. I mean, I think I enjoy watching football. I like good football, whether it's Eagles or not. Obviously, you prefer it to be the Eagles, but I love good football. The Detroit Lions are a fun football team to watch.
Yeah, well, and there's, Green Bay, as I mentioned, all their receivers, Are Eagles fan watching those receivers? Do they know how good Josh Jacobs is? Do they know their young defensive players? Most people know Jefferson, but do you know Jordan Addison? Do you know how good TJ Hawkinson is?
Sam Laporta is a tough one, John. How are we going to cover
Laporta?
him?
How long have I been talking about Aaron Jones on this show?
Yeah.
All these teams have playmakers all over the place. And, people expect the Eagles to just roll over everybody. Yeah. So I'm not the batshit crazy one. I'll say that.
Appreciate everybody for watching this morning. Don't forget to hit that like button, even if you disagree with us. We love football talk. If you want football talk that you agree with everything, it's not really football talk. You're just having a powwow at the bar with dudes, as Celia would say.
No.
Go to the bar with dudes and talk fantasy if you want that. We want to talk football here.
I want to educate. I want to elevate the conversation. I always say I want to educate you and say there are other teams and there are other players, and the other guys get paid. So when you see your favorite player get beaten or do something you don't like, maybe you say, "Hey, maybe the other player's pretty good. Who's fighting them on a particular play?"
Michael says, John talks to us like we're stupid. No, he doesn't. Sometimes John makes me feel stupid too. I don't think it's intentional. I just think he's, as he says, he's trying to elevate the convo.
Yeah, I'm never gonna lie to you. So when you say, "Oh, they're so much better that it doesn't matter, they have to go on the road," well, then why aren't they at home? Detroit's in the tougher fucking division. You're in the bullshit division. They're the ones that got to go out and beat Green Bay twice. They're the ones who've got to go out and beat Minnesota twice while you're beating up on the Giants and the Cowboys and the Cooper Rush Cowboys. Look in the mirror. Maybe you are stupid if you can't digest what I'm saying. So, sorry, but that's not my goal. But I'm not going to lie to you. Beating Minnesota in week 18 is a lot tougher than beating Cooper fucking Rush in week 17. And then having to go against the New York Giants in week 18. A lot freaking tougher. Anybody see that?
I certainly see that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't. A lot of people have it.
That's not an opinion. That's an undisputable fact.
You would think. But I mean, the Eagles beat the Cowboys 41-7. So it's time to pump out the chest. I don't know. I mean, Eagles took care of business.
I am excited.
And by the way, that's what they should do. What you don't want is to play down to your competition level. It's not the Eagles' fault that they got this bullshit division. Hey, but they took advantage of it. That's great. This is the toughest division in recent history, the NFC North. You got a third place team who's got 11 wins. And probably is going to finish with 12. Third place.
Who do the Packers play in their final game?
I don't know. Probably, and they're probably.
They play the Bears.
Yeah, so they're probably going to finish with 12.
Washington too. They might finish. They should finish with 12 too. They play the Cowboys this week. That's pretty impressive turnaround by Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, going from 3 wins to 12 wins.
Oh, that's tremendous. Well, yeah. How much shit did I get during that week for saying Jaden Daniels is having a better year than Jalen Hurts?
I gave you some shit that week, but no, you're right.
You have to get the apology, but yeah, not from you. I'm talking about.
I'll give you it. I'll admit.
By the way, I don't. People don't listen to what I say a lot, which I'm used to at this point. But I didn't say he was a better quarterback. I said he's having a better season. And he is. Things change. CJ Stroud had a better season as a rookie than Jalen Hurts the year prior. People make adjustments. CJ Stroud's not nearly as effective this season. I expect the same thing to happen to Jaden Daniels. But this season, he's making a lot of plays, and he's turned a pretty crappy team into a playoff team. And they don't have a ton of talent. And that second thing about Green Bay winning 12, probably finishing with 12 wins, they'll be 12-5, and every single one of their losses is to a team that won 13 games or more. I believe they lost to Detroit twice, Minnesota
Detroit
twice,
Yep.
and the Eagles.
Yep.
Every single loss to a team that's won 13 games or more. So, yeah, the NFC North had it a little bit tougher than the top of the NFC East.
And we're going to play the entire NFC North next year, John.
Well, and again, it
might change.
It might change. Things change very quickly in this league. Very quickly.
Good stuff, everybody. I appreciate all of you guys being here. We'll get to one more super chat, and then we'll get to a break. We've been ripping this morning. It's been a great show. We appreciate all of you guys for being here, even those who like to push back and throw some jabs. We're cool with that. That's all football talk. Charles Menifee says, how does Fangio's defense match up with Ben Johnson? Good question.
Well, I have tremendous respect for Vic. I think people should know that. But yeah, I don't think anybody matches up well with Ben Johnson. I don't. I just don't.
John, he might get that lofty number that he wanted last year when everybody.
Well, and by the way, I don't necessarily think he's going to be a great head coach.
I don't either. To me, he kind of looks like the perfect coordinator, but you don't know about the head coach. We'll see.
Yeah, to me, it's two different jobs. But
yeah,
I mean, I do think Vic will handle it better than everybody else. I think he's better equipped to handle it a little bit better, and that's all you want. But yeah, I think these people who think they're going to shut down the Detroit Lions are insane, batshit crazy, to use that terminology. Can you turn what they score yesterday, 40? Can you turn 40 into 28? I always use the NBA scorer mentality. You're playing against Michael Jordan. You're not trying to shut down Michael Jordan.
Right. It's not happening.
Yeah, it's not happening. You're trying to, instead of him scoring 40, you want him to score 25, and you want him to make him work to do it. I think that's the goal. And I think the Eagles are better equipped to do that than anybody else because of Big Fangio. So there's some positivity.
There you go. Good stuff, Johnny Mac. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Hit that like button. We should have a lot of likes this morning. All right. We're going back and forth with the great viewers. We're talking about it all. The NFC is good. That's my favorite part about this playoffs, is that the NFC is legitimately good. Really 1 through 7. I guess maybe the Rams. I mean, the Rams are spotty, but they're still a solid team. Bucks are spotty, but they're still solid. Baker Mayfield's having a hell of a year, Johnny Mac.
Yeah, he's very good.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of these. That's my thing with Sam Darnold. I mean, it's like everybody, well, Sam Darnold can't play. Sam Darnold can't play. Sam Darnold can't play. Sam Darnold can't play.
I'm done saying that, John. You don't have 4,300 passing yards and 35 touchdowns if you can't play.
I mean, he's one off the record of 100 passer rating games. The record. Talk about records. Not that that's a meaningful record, but, you know, only Aaron Rodgers has done it. That points out to the consistency week after week after week after week. You know, sometimes you got to get in the right situation. Obviously, he had a ton of talent. And that's what I was talking about. I know Kyle Shanahan knew he was better than Brock Purdy. But, you know, he was going to the Super Bowl. How do you bench a quarterback going to a Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Well, Jim Harbaugh did it. But he had an injury as an excuse.
What are they going to do with Purdy?
I don't know. Pay him. Good luck with that.
Purdy's weird to me because sometimes he shows. Sometimes I watch him. I'm like, boy, he does manage the position well. He does play the position the right way. And then you watch him airmail 2 passes right into Kirby Joseph's hands, and you're like, well, that'll cost you a game right there.
Yeah, I mean, he's a starting quarterback. He's a starting. He's just not that. That's not the guy I want to be in a position. And look, whether you talk about great quarterbacks in this league, and we have that debate with Jalen Hurts all the time. The only guys you're completely comfortable with, in my estimation, Patrick Mahomes, you start with him, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. That's what we talked about. The best quarterbacks are in the AFC, the best teams are in the NFC, I think, with the exception. I mean, you have to give credit to Kansas City. I'm trying to think. Lamar's certainly in that category. Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, definitely Lamar.
And then it gets into who do you like?
Right, I agree.
Those are
4 very clear, and then everywhere else you can kind of pick and choose, pick your poison.
Yeah, and that I'm a big Justin Herbert fan, but he hasn't done it. And
he's got all the talent, you can see it, but he just hasn't been able to put it all together.
That was one of my bold predictions that I thought Sam Darnold was going to have a very good season.
You don't have Tanner McBrady up there, John?
Not yet. And then boy, if you had to pin me down, I'm looking at the list. Besides the top 4, then I go Herbert. Me personally.
Yeah, I'd like to hear this because I have my top 10s in here somewhere. Let me find it.
Darnold. And then I'm all the way down to Goff and Mayfield.
You don't think Goff's that good, huh?
No, I think he's very good. I just think he needs everything in place. Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. He's got everything in place. I think he's perfect for Detroit. But, part of it is, all right, what's Jared Goff going to be on Jacksonville or, even a decent team like Pittsburgh or somebody like that? I don't think it's the same. He can't do as much as guys like Herbert and Darnold.
Yeah, I think you got to get Goff off his spot. That's why I like Jordan. If we played Lions, Jalen Carter is going to be a huge piece. I mean, if you get pressure up the middle and get him off his spot, you're going to throw off his game.
Yeah, you definitely got to get pressure on every quarterback.
Yeah. But I mean specifically,
but he can't
thrives on that play action passing.
He's not going to extend plays. He's not going to move around the pocket as much. He can do it a little bit.
You get pressure on Jalen, sometimes he can turn that into a 30-yard game with a run. You know what I mean?
But I'm not even talking about the running. I'm talking about manipulating the pocket. That's what Herbert's very good at.
Right.
Darnold's very good at that. I don't think the Goff is as good at that. And then you got the super talented guys who haven't reached their level. And Jalen's too inconsistent for me to be in the really, really top tier. Same thing with Jordan Love. Like Jordan Love, I thought before the season, Jordan Love would be certainly top 5. And he's not close to top 5.
Top 5? You thought he'd be right after the top 4 guys? I think the top 4s are set. Nobody's getting in that group.
Right now. Maybe top 5, because the top 4's set. Certainly top 10. And I don't think he's top 10 with the season he's had.
Where do you think Jalen is?
Somewhere 11, 12-ish. Somewhere in that range.
Good stuff. Great show so far today. Appreciate everybody watching so far. And anybody who's listening after the fact, we appreciate it. 135 likes. So pretty good. Let's get that to 150 at least. I'd love to get to 200 likes if possible. We appreciate all of you guys for doing it. I was going to take a break, but then the great MJ decides to check in with a big $10 super chat. MJ, thank you, brother. I appreciate if you're a dude. I can't really tell. You got a baseball diamond as your picture. We appreciate you, though. Purdy, a good game manager when he has Kyle's full bag of tricks at his disposal, but not sure I'd be paying him $50 million per for 5. He isn't a star. I think that's a good take.
Yeah, I think that's a very good take. That's the cost of doing business. That's why I don't want to be in that position. But I'm kind of torn with that too, because how do you get better? Well, they had a guy in the building that would have made him better. And that's where I talk about you have to have the courage to pull the trigger in that type of circumstance. Now Minnesota's in the same position. It's like, what are they going to do with Sam Darnold versus J.J. McCarthy? Like, and the assumption around the league is, well, the whole plan was to get McCarthy on a cost-effective deal so you can build up the rest of the roster. Part of the reason they've been successful, they made a lot of good free agent decisions with Grenard and Van Ginkel and Cashman. A lot of good free agent decisions. They could do the same thing this offseason if they stick with McCarthy. And if they have to pay Sam $50 million a year. But my whole thing is, what are the odds that J.J. McCarthy ever turns into what Sam Darnold was this
They have
year?
14 wins with Sam Darnold. If they move on from him, they're insane.
Well, that's what I say. Your whole goal as an NFL team, I think people get way too caught up in contracts. Your whole goal is to develop good players. So your hope, if you're Minnesota, if that's your plan, is that J.J. McCarthy someday becomes Sam Darnold. And what are the odds that's going to happen?
It's like the Eagles at the left tackle. You spent a first on Dillard and a seventh on Mailata. You got your tackle. You know?
Yeah, exactly. So they should spin off McCarthy. Now, then there's the other group that doesn't believe in Darnold. Like, if you're in that group, I can't convince you. I mean, I'm not saying he's never going to have a bad game again. And when they do get eliminated, because they're probably not going to win the Super Bowl, whenever that is. And if he does have a bad game, people are going to say, oh, see, Sam Darnold showed up. I mean, the guy can fucking play. What are the odds J.J. McCarthy's going to play at that level ever?
I would say less than 5%.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I didn't
those
like
those are difficult decisions to make. And Brock Purdy is a good quarterback, but he's not a great quarterback. And do I want to pay a good quarterback $50 million? Well, you have to. And you don't necessarily want to be in that space. You know.
Yeah. Some good topics here on Birds 365 this morning. James, appreciate it, bro. $20 super chat. Before we hit that, let me tell you guys real quick about the great people at BetUS. Go check them out. You can see the promo code I just put on your screen. It's YouTube 150. Gives you 150% sign-up bonus on your very first deposit. And you get 125% on your second and third deposit, all up to $2,000. So deposit less and bet with more at BetUS. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa and use the promo code YouTube150. Big thanks to them for sponsoring the 2-hour show today. James Carver checked in, John, with a $20 super chat. James, thank you, brother. He says, this isn't about Saquon, etc. And I can't remember the reporter TV person who recently referenced the Colts season when they shut down players wanting to play for the perfect season. And then the Colts struggled and lost. I don't remember to assess enough. So I think he's talking about playing this week, and the Colts team that sat players and then struggled. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, and I talked about it a couple times in different ways. Whether it's Kyle Shanahan making a difficult decision, whether it's Nick Sirianni making a difficult decision between going for a record or shutting people down. Unfortunately, because of the public-facing nature of this industry, like all these same people who want Saquon to break the record, go for the record, will shit so heavily on Nick Sirianni if he sprains his ankle and is unable to play against the Green Bay Packers in round 1 of the playoffs. Can't legislate injuries. I'm 100% on board with that. But I would ask everyone to ask themselves, what would they do in the worst case scenario? And if you're honest with yourself, you would at least know what your peers would do. The majority of your peers.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely eviscerate the head coach. Dan Campbell did it, as I said, in a little bit of a different way, because that game was meaningless from a perspective of didn't matter if they lost it, could have played all their backups and still beaten Minnesota and gotten the number 1 seed in week 18. He decided to play. He got out of it relatively unscathed. And imagine how ballsy that is for him because of how many injuries they already had coming in. And he was getting a lot of shit in Detroit for playing his players. I'm just saying what I would do. And I don't care about this game, and I don't care about individual records, but I know that's personal, and I don't care. So it's easy for me. It's not even a decision for me. And I don't think it's a decision for the Philadelphia Eagles because of their belief system, as Joe Banner kind of pointed out.
You think Andy Reid would play him?
No, absolutely not. No.
Well, Andy's the guy who took some shit for playing people in the preseason.
Well, the game's changed. Andy's been coaching so long. Andy's still a bit of an old school guy when things were handled differently. The vast majority of the league has, and then it becomes, when you're an outlier, it becomes more difficult. We know how most teams handle the preseason now, and how the Eagles handle it, which is another indication that what their belief system is. But Nick, and the beauty is we have 4 years because Nick Sirianni has had he's made the playoffs every single year. Year 1, they were locked into the 7th seed. They rested everybody. They got boat raced in Tampa Bay. Now Tampa, that was still a Tom Brady Tampa team. Tampa was much more talented at the time. So I don't think the route had anything to do with resting players, but it gave you an indication of what the organization thinks when there's nothing to gain from playing a game. In the second season, it was kind of weird because Jalen Hurts got hurt at the end of the season. They lost those 2 games, so they had to play in week 18 to get the number 1 seed in the NFC East. And the Giants were locked into the 6th seed and didn't play anybody. And the Eagles played like shit in that game, but because the Giants played nobody, they won the game. They got the number 1 seed. And the Giants did upset Minnesota and then came in here the divisional round and got absolutely eviscerated. So it didn't really matter because the Eagles were just a much better team. And then last year, the Eagles scoreboard watch. There was a small chance they could win the NFC East. Dallas was playing Washington at the same time. The NFL sets it up that way. And it became very clear they were going to blow out Washington. I think it was 38-10. And the Eagles started pulling their guys and lost to the Giants. Didn't matter. But they didn't pull them quick enough because they lost A.J. Brown and Reed Blankenship and even Sidney Brown. And specifically, A.J. Brown wasn't able to play in the playoffs. Reed wasn't able to play in the playoffs. And they got, again, boat raced in Tampa. Remember, they're coming off that. Losing A.J. Brown in week 18. Losing Reed Blankenship. Losing Sidney Brown, who played last year. And would have been the safety. They had to play Avonte Maddox, if you remember, at safety. Yeah. I don't think it's a decision for them. I really don't.
I think you're probably right about that. A couple more super chats. Appreciate everybody for being here this morning. Got a great crowd, as always, up over 500 watching. So can we get to 200 likes? We appreciate each and every one of you. Christopher Darker checks in. He says, if the team wants the record and you go against them, you can break the spirit of the team. Let them decide.
Do you let the inmates run the asylum? And that, people don't like that correlation. So I'll
No,
say
yeah.
this:
Not not the greatest, though.
no, you're the head coach. You got to make difficult
Does the head
decisions.
coach even have the decision, John? Does this come from the front office,
No,
this one?
that's a good point. No, he doesn't.
He doesn't.
No, I'm not going to go that far. It's an organizational decision. But
AKA,
yeah, I
it's
mean,
not really a Nick decision.
if you're gonna make a decision that Jeffrey Lurie doesn't like, you're gonna get overturned. But I do think that one of the amusing things about Jeffrey is he likes to describe himself as somebody who loves to ask questions, never makes demands, just ask questions because he wants to know
Yeah,
what's
he
going
asked
on.
discreet questions to
Yeah.
tip the hand of what he wants
Yeah,
to
exactly.
go his way. Yeah.
You're worth, you just sold 10% of the team for $800 million. I think Jeffrey doesn't realize the impact of his questions. He makes it very well known what he wants.
Yeah, agreed.
And you don't have to demand it when you make that clear in the way he makes it clear. So, yeah, I do think it's an organizational decision, but I do think Nick Sirianni's on board with it as well. Like, I don't think Nick – I don't think this – I really – and I know this is going to be a big topic all week, and this is what frustrates me about Nick. If you're listening, Nick, just say you're not playing anybody and you shut it down immediately. This is going to be talk all week. I don't even think it's a decision for him. I don't know why that would upset people.
Do you think the Eagles will win the game if they don't play anyone?
Yeah, probably. I mean, they could lose it, but I'm not going to say. Yeah,
I mean, any Giants fans in the chat? Oh my God, you guys stink.
Well, Drew Lock had a big game last week. And
they did.
They screwed themselves. They screwed themselves, the Giants, which is typical of the Giants.
Which is hilarious because he was up at the podium after the game and he's like, the fans deserve this. I'm like, the fans were on the better draft pick, dumbass.
Yeah. Which, hey, players never tank. I used to say that about the Sixers. Organizations tank. Players don't tank. Those guys are trying to earn jobs and stay in the league. So, I mean, yeah, the Eagles could lose the game, but the Giants are so bad they'll probably find a way to win it. But who cares? I mean, who cares? I can't. I don't. This is one where I really don't understand people. I really don't. Like I said, and I the one who evidently doesn't understand what I was saying. Guys who get the rushing record is about three things. I said this about the start of the show. Amazing talent, number one. If you're rushing for 2,000 yards, you're a phenomenal running back from a talent perspective. Two, you stayed healthy and expressed that you can get through the wear and tear it takes to get to 2,000 yards because you're going to touch the football a lot to get to 2,000 yards. And B and C, sorry, I'm not. You're on a good team, but not a great team. And somebody misunderstood that in the chat and said, well, Saquon's on a good team. No, he's on a great team. And great teams sometimes don't have to play at the end of the season. And that's the situation the Philadelphia Eagles are in. If you look at Eric Dickerson, he was on a good team, not a great team.
Right.
If you look at O.J. Simpson, he was on actually a less than a mediocre team that could run the football really well. If you look at the guys who pushed for the record, Adrian Peterson, who I covered, good team, leaning more towards mediocre, to be honest.
Who was our quarterback? Christian Ponder?
Chris Johnson, good team. Sean Alexander, good team. Not a great team.
Right. I see what you're saying. This is an interesting follow-up, John, and I'll go to this because I think this is an interesting line of thinking. Christopher Darker says, one last question. Who won the Super Bowl in 92 without looking it up? I think it was the Command or the Redskins, wasn't it? 99% of people can't tell you. Who owns the rushing record? 90% of people can tell you that. Well, there's a little recency bias there, Christopher. if Saquon wasn't on the way, they probably wouldn't be talking about Eric Dickerson so much.
What? I don't even understand the thought process.
Well, no, the thought process is that this is such a big record that 40 years after Eric Dickerson said it, we're still talking about it. And you're within a breath away of creating a record like that could withstand the test of time in NFL history.
Well,
I think that's what he's getting at.
If you think as a fan that winning the rushing record is more important than getting the rushing record, you don't win it. That getting the all-time rushing record is more important than a Super Bowl for that particular organization. And I actually picked a bad year because 92 was Minneapolis, so it was Washington. But that's the only. I get his point. There's so many Super Bowls. It's hard to run through them all. So I get his point, and people are just going to remember one thing versus the Super Bowl champions of 58 years, wherever we are. I get that point of it, but I hope Christopher, you get the point that it would be much more impactful for the 2024 Philadelphia Eagles to have a Lombardi trophy than the all-time rushing record. I mean, that's not even in the same fucking realm of anything.
I mean, come on. I get his point, but yeah, the Super Bowl is definitely more meaningful. Definitely more meaningful. By the way, I just looked up the 92 Super Bowl. It was the Redskins. Everybody in the chat told me it was Dallas. I thought it was the Redskins after Dallas beat them twice in a row. The Redskins Bills. I thought that was it at least. I guess it's hard to. I guess the 92 Super Bowl, is that from the 91 season? I guess that's what people are saying, that the Cowboys won, I guess.
The Super Bowl's always in January or now February in the next year.
Yeah, right. So it's the next year.
Yeah. So it depends what you're saying. The 91 season, the Super Bowl's in 92.
I got you, Fly. Fly was saying 91 season. Yeah, I got you.
The 2024 season, well, obviously the champions will not be crowned until 2025.
Right.
That's
hey, we're a day away, John. We're a day away from 2025.
But no, I mean, come on. Are we really saying that? I mean, ask any Eagles fan. Phrase it that way. Would you rather have the Lombardi? You can only have one. Don't give me the both crap.
Yeah, come on, man.
Would you rather have a Lombardi trophy or the NFL's all-time rushing record? I mean, what do you think?
We'd rather have the Lombardi, but I don't think they have to be mutually exclusive. Like, it's not.
Well,
like
they don't have to be. I'm saying for the sake of the poll, I'm saying you can only have one to point out what's more important. Conservatively, I'm saying 95%, and I think I might be lowballing it. Is there anybody? You can only have one.
I'd say it's 100%.
It should be. There's always one contrarian, so I'll go. It should be way above 95%. I'm lowballing it.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to look in the mirror.
It's I've said that a couple times. Celebrating the record on Broad Street, that's for sure.
Yeah. There's no parades for Eric Dickerson. The whole city's not showing up for celebrating the all-time rushing record. Yeah, that I get your point, but that was a goofy comment.
Good stuff, Johnny Mac. Brian Pumper, here he is. He says, Happy New Year, everyone. New year, new QB. Tanner Delphia will reign supreme over the Church of Jalen Hurts. Mark my words.
Oh, boy. Well, you're probably going to see Tanner because Kenny Pickett's broken rib. They're probably going to be cautious.
And he's not going to look too good with all backups in there either.
Hey, Tanner McKee to Jahan Dotson, that might elevate. Hey, Tanner McKee can get Jahan Dotson involved. How about that?
I don't think so.
That narrative.
James Carver says if anyone were to get hurt like the O-line, I'm not sure about even playing behind them, playing Jalen for a pure series to say 100. He said there was a lot of spell checks in this. The super chat creates spell checks. I don't know why they do that to the great people, but I don't really. It's hard to follow that one, James. Sorry, bro. Brian Fleming says the Giants need to lose. They fall from 4 to 10 in the draft. If they win, would be hilarious to put in the starters in the fourth quarter to get the record. They're not going to do that, but
yeah, I know people want to.
If we let the Giants win, they'll fall from 4 to 10. Should we let them win 4 to 10? That's a big drop.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess. I mean, sometimes I can't even. I'm like, I don't know why this is a conversation. I don't know why people care.
They're not going to play him, John. So it's really just a conversation right now because Nick Sirianni hasn't squashed it. But we all know what they're going to do. They're not going to.
Yeah, I mean they made it as clear as possible by going for the 2000 and immediately removing him from the game.
Which I thought was still an interesting move because they should have been out of the game at that point when they were going for the 2K.
But I told you. Brookover was sitting next to me, and I'm looking at him like, "Are they really doing this?"
Yeah, I'm like, this guy still in the game. I tweeted it. Yeah,
this guy, he had 31 carries in that game, which was a season high.
Yeah.
I'm like, they already went as farther than they would typically go because of the historic nature of it. And that was the goal, to get to 2000. In 16 games, by the way, to shut up all those people. But yeah, I'm surprised they even went that far. So to think they're going to risk injury, yeah, I don't know. I would be, and that's what Joe said. Joe Banner. I mean, I saw Schefter say the same thing, and Schefter's not as plugged in as Joe, obviously, but he's pretty plugged in. I would be stunned if they play him. And I think the exact terminology, I'm just pulling it up. Beyond shocked is how Joe described it. If Barkley plays, it's not the way this team, this organization runs things.
No, it's not. And I don't think they will. Brian Pumper says, we had a week 5 bye. It would be idiotic to play a meaningless game. Sit everyone and rest up for the Packers. Eagles don't play for records. Good take there, but Pumper.
Nor should they. And yeah, it is. Somebody mentioned that about, I think, Detroit. Somebody mentioned that on the broadcast last night. They had an early bye week, so it's important to get the bye. That's a good point by Brian. They had a very early bye.
Yeah.
This is like, yeah, that's a very good point.
Good stuff there, Pumper. Q the God says it's not just Saquon. Anyone can get hurt. My lot of getting rolled up on Jurgen.
Exactly. That's why I brought up. Last year it was AJ, it was Sidney, it was Reed.
Look at Devontae. Look at him throwing a shot at Devontae. Devontae hurting his skinny ass legs.
He does have skinny ass legs. It's kind of amazing how tough and physical
he's a tough dude, man.
Yeah, anybody can get. That's the point. Because it's not only, you're not playing Saquon behind Nick Yates and Jack Driscoll and Fred Johnson. You got to play everybody in that instance. You might not play the quarterback because Tanner McKee and Kenny Pickett can just hand it off. But yeah, no way. No way.
Good stuff, Q the God. Appreciate it, brother. Christopher says there's no guarantee we win the damn Super Bowl. That record might as well be a lock.
Well, there's no of course there's no guarantee you win the Super Bowl, but that record's no lock either. What if he sprains his ankle on rush number 3?
Yeah, there's no guarantees in anything.
There's no guarantees in anything. Yeah. What I bet on him?
Not a lock either, by the way. 100 yards is not. Saquon's
no, yeah,
you're under 100.
Yeah. Would I bet on him to get 100 against
would,
101 he would need against that bullshit team? Yes, I would bet very heavily on that if he played an entire game. But it ain't a lock. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just stunned why so many people care.
Well,
I
it is
mean,
a big record, John. It's cool. I mean, like I get it. I get both, but I don't know. You're right. Super Bowl's way more important.
yeah. I mean, 2005 versus 2106. Does that make him better than he was? He had a great season. One of the greatest seasons a runner has ever had in this league. Doesn't change with that number. Doesn't change with that number. One of the things, there are certain records, baseball, because of its history, the home run record for many years, 714, 755. And then it changed a little bit with the steroid era. But by the way, every Eagles fan now knows to that earlier point where people said Super Bowl 1992 versus Eric Dickerson, blah, 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 record. How many Eagles fans knew that record before this year and before we started
That's
bringing
why I
it up
said it's
every week?
recency bias. You wouldn't know Eric Dickerson if they
No.
weren't talking about it.
I'm sorry. And we have the most educated viewership, I believe, in this city. I always say it. I'm going to say over 50% don't know who the fuck Eric Dickerson was before all this started. I mean,
Probably not all.
It's a long time ago. And a lot of people don't care about the history of the game. Eric Dickerson ain't Babe Ruth. He ain't Hank Aaron. He's not part of the, I mentioned this earlier this week on the show with Jeff Kerr. He's not in the same realm as those guys. And in Philadelphia, yeah, well, I would say 89% of sports talk callers wouldn't know Eric Dickerson before his name was brought up in this race.
Right.
So even that part of it is so vastly overrated. Now, there's a lot of fans who love the history of the game and know Eric Dickerson like the back of their hand because he's one of the greatest running backs of all time. I'm talking the vast majority. And I bet a bunch of people who act like this is such a big deal had no idea who Eric Dickerson was.
Probably not wrong there. Necklos checks in. He says, a little off topic, but John, Pickett had a great game. I stand corrected from what I said last week. I don't remember what you said, Necklos.
I don't know what you said, but he did have a great game, and people
I
didn't give him credit for it for some reason.
No, he deserves credit, man. That was a good performance by Pickett. Gutsy. Flexing and stepping. What's up, Flex? He says, you got dummies on WIP saying it will give the team more confidence and momentum if they get the record. How idiotic that sounds. LMAO.
Yeah, it is dumb and idiotic. Yeah. Yeah. It's not going to get
Especially with no buy since week 5. That may be the biggest point. This team will be tired. Give them the week here. Flexing and stepping again. What's up, Flex? Same fans that care so much about the rushing record are like those Sixers fans that cared so much about Joel Embiid winning the MVP.
That's a good comp too. I mean, it's like, who cares at the end of the day with individual records? I mean, I always compared it to like that stuff when I was young, I cared about, and over the years I grew and I don't care about individual stuff. I don't care about all-star games. That's my comparison. When I was a kid, I loved all-star games. Now I hate them. I can't even watch them.
Yeah.
I regurgitate when I see and I'm like, boy, why do I hate these things so much? And I thought, well, they're for kids. It's pretty cool for a kid to see all the play. And I'm like, this is stupid as I got older and you realize what it is.
I understand that.
Same thing with records. Really, again, you could have the best rushing season ever and miss 2 games because of a sprained ankle and you don't break the record. Does that mean you weren't spectacular for the 15 games you did play? Like, it's about everything. It's about having a great season,
Right.
That's baked into it.
The only
But
part of this I think you're wrong on is that the players caring.
But no, I'm not wrong about that because I know they care. Jordan Mailata told me that directly numerous times.
Well, yeah,
Like,
didn't you say yesterday that you don't think they care?
no, I said I don't think they care as much about going to obviously the Super Bowl, which should be obvious to people. I said if it happened organically, they would be so happy for him. But again, yeah, if you turn that out, the way that happens organically is to be 10-6, is to be
Yeah,
9
right.
and
I get
that's
you.
the way it happens organically.
Yeah.
And you don't want that. You don't want to be in a position. Now, again, if it happened organically in a positive way, even better. And the fact that they're fighting for the number 1 seed and have to play for the number 1 seed, then he's out there breaking the record. Great. But it's got to happen organically. You don't just trot him out there to break the record because you have bigger goals
Right.
as a legitimate Super Bowl contender. But everybody would love, from Lane Johnson. Lane's the one who said, basically, let the cat out of the bag. Our goal was 2016. And everybody would be thrilled for him. Of course. Why wouldn't they? But they have bigger goals.
Yeah. A couple more supers here. You're right, John. Brian Pumper says 2025 trade Hurts to Vegas for a first and draft James Pierce Jr. It's Tanner time.
Tanner. Boy, yeah. I don't think it's Tanner time yet. But I get
John
that.
doesn't want to see Tanner time. Pump, appreciate you, bro. James Carver says, I did because Dickerson and James ruined SMU. James, it doesn't surprise me that you would know the history.
Well, I said there's a lot of fans that love the history of the game, but there's more that don't. And only, are very current centric and about the players now. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Most people don't know Eric Dickerson. I stand by that. And they didn't know him before we started writing about him every week because Saquon was on pace to make a run about the record. But that's every city. I'm not picking on Philadelphia fans. That's every city. This ain't Hank Aaron. Can everybody agree with me? It's not Babe Ruth. It's not Hank Aaron. This is not a common.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's turned into, everybody knows Eric Dickerson. That's bullshit. Who's got the receiving? Well, it's Jerry Rice. Everybody knows Jerry Rice. Can go the sack record. That's a big NFL record. Can everybody rattle that off? From Gastineau? Maybe they can now because he's yelling at Brett Favre and Strahan. Can I do that? It's bullshit.
You're right.
Interception record. I know that because I know Paul Krause personally. It's one of the great records.
What is the interception record? I don't know.
82, which is freaking phenomenal, by the way, and has stood for let's see, when did Paul break it? Boy. It's 81, by the way. Even
81.
I didn't remember. So he broke it in I can't even find the year he broke it, but he retired in 79. So, and that's when he took it to 81. I think the record was 78. So he retired in 79. That's how long that record has stood, and nobody's close to it. Nobody's close to it. And the way that interceptions have gone down because they've made offense easier and quarterbacks don't throw as many interceptions that record is going to stand for 50. I can't even tell you unless they change the game back. That record may never be broken. And nobody knows it. Vast majority don't know it.
Final couple minutes of the show here, John. Christopher Darker says NBC Sports ran a poll, has 22,000 votes 49% of the fan base want them to go for the record, so more fans care to have it. And then he followed up and said, only 18% voted against going for the record. That's a huge chunk of your fan base that wants the record. Yeah, but Chris, fans don't make decisions in the organization. Now, to give you more context, I ran a poll on JAKIB that has 2,200 votes, and 64% voted to play the starters and get the record. So you're right. There's definitely a lot of fans that want it, but that doesn't mean that the organization is going to do that. Ultra Ronin says, if they want to buy, they should make easy catches. That's fair.
That's fair. But also, as I always point out, people tend to forget the other side of that equation. So I never play that game because you could say, well, the Eagles would have beat Atlanta without the Saquon drop. They would have beaten Washington without the Devontae drop, which is true. They also would have lost to Carolina without an Xavier Leggett drop. And they would have lost to New Orleans without a Dallas Goedert miracle with two defenders running into themselves. You're always a play away in the NFL from going 1 or 2 up or 1 or 2 down, sometimes even more. So things went right for the Eagles, and they got some miraculous wins instead of those bad drop losses. So it tends to even out.
Good stuff, Johnny Mac. Good show. No, we didn't even take a break today, everybody. We went 2 straight hours. Boom.
And I got no voice, man. How about that?
That's impressive work by Johnny Mac. Appreciate everybody in the chat today. Had a lot of good super chats today. Well done, everybody. By the way, after hours, we will do the Saquon Barkley jersey giveaway. So we'll do that. If you're not a member, you're out. You're out if you're not a member. 4 for 4. You're out of here. Sully Music, you're out of here. Conrad, you're out of here. Spike, you're out of here. So if you're gray, you're out of here. But we appreciate you being here and watching. Anyway, John, your final thoughts on today's show, man. New Year's Eve. So I hope you have a great New Year's Eve.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everybody. And, the polls, those polls are interesting because I think if you frame it in certain ways, and the way I'm framing it is, what would you rather have? You can only have one, a Super Bowl or the rushing record.
I'm going to put that poll up today on Jake. That's a good poll.
I think
I bet you 95% will.
I think it shifts dramatically. Now, obviously, everybody wants their cake and can eat it too. Eagles are trying to win a Super Bowl. And again, the old adage, I think it was it Bum who said it? Bum Phillips has so many great quotes, but so I apologize if he was the first or second. Many people have said it. If you're listening to the fans, you're going to be sitting next to the fans as a head coach, because you're not going to be making good decisions usually.
Good stuff, Johnny Mac. Great show today, brother. What's on the agenda for the Birds today?
Coordinator day. So we get to talk to NFC East winning coordinators, Kellen Moore, Vic Fangio, Michael Clay. Coordinator day.
Should be good. We'll see what they have to say, if anything good at all. And we'll talk to you tomorrow, everybody, on Birds 365. Johnny Mac, great show, brother. I'll catch you in the morning for the first day of 2025. All right, Johnny Mac?
Yeah, 2025 Super Bowl.
Might be a little groggy in the morning. I'm going to have to stay up with, and watch the ball drop and do all that bullshit. I'm not a big fan of that, but I got to do it anyway.
The ball's going to drop. Yeah. Everybody enjoy it, but stay safe.
Drop, or will you be
I'll be sleeping. I got to get up early, man. I'll be sleeping. Yeah. I've done all my ball dropping days and drinking. And like I said, I'm under the weather to begin with, so no alcohol for me. So enjoy it. Don't celebrate too much. Don't get arrested. Be back here for
nobody in JAKIB Nation's getting arrested. We got smart people, not dumbos. So we'll be good on that front. Yeah. Hopefully, at least. All right, John. Good show, man. Talk to you tomorrow.
All right, thanks everybody, and good luck. How many jerseys is this? We set the number too low.
I didn't expect this. I think this is 10.
10.
I think 10, and then I've also given away a bunch of other crap. So with all the other stuff, it's probably 15 jerseys. I also gave away the jacket last week. Gave away a bunch of the salute to service. But we got a bunch of stuff, Johnny Mac, for the people.
All right.
All right, John.
Good luck,
Catch you tomorrow,
everybody.
brother. Be safe. See you. Good stuff from Johnny Mac here on Birds 365. It's giveaway time, everybody. I thought that was a great show today, by the way. 2 hours straight, boom, right through. Talked about it all. NFC, talked about the record, talked about the playoffs, talked about the Lions. Lions are damn good. What? Eagle fans, can I ask you a question? Why can't we admit that other teams are good? Why is that just the stubborn nature of a Philadelphian? You know, I watch other teams. I'm like, hey, that's a good team. That's a good player. I'd rather play that team than that team. I'd rather do this than that. I mean, it's all talk. It's all, it's all debate. Look at Bombay. Lions 365. All right, Bombay. I sent out your damn jacket. All right. I sent out your damn jacket. Flex, you would have loved the first hour of the show today. No, Flex, I know you don't. I know you don't mind it. Flex, you would have loved the first hour because Johnny Mac was up here, telling everybody about which teams are good, who to care about, who not to care about. And Eagles fans are like, we don't care about anybody. We're the best team in the world. And I love it. I love that Eagle fans are like that. But it was a good first hour of the show today. All right, let's figure out how to let's figure out this jersey giveaway. We haven't gotten a member yet today. What's going on with that? If we got a bunch of members, maybe I'd throw another thing to give away in there. Maybe I'll sign a Kango and give it away. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. If we win the Super Bowl, I'll sign the Victory Green Kango and give it away. That'd be funny. I don't know if you guys want that though. My sweaty ass head. You guys don't want that. All right, let me get this list here. Where are our down bad grays? Do we have any grays left? Twiz. Yo, Twiz. Fuck you, Twiz. Oh, man. Any grays left? I don't see many grays in the chat. That's what I'm talking about, JAKIB Nation. Get your memberships in. There's a gray. Bobby says he got gifted a membership. Yeah, you can thank probably James Carver for that, man. He gifted like 100 memberships out. Absolute legendary stuff from James Carver. Morrow tendencies. Jeez, that's a vulgar comment there. I didn't mean to read that, but you're gray. All right, let's figure out this list. Joe Whip says too much hair stuck to that Kango. Joe Whip, I don't have much hair left, dude. I'm balding. I guess there's still a good amount left, but I am balding quick, my friend. I am balding quick. I am balding at a faster rate than most 26-year-olds. All right. That's where I'm at. And I am fine with that, by the way. I do not care. Yeah, Fly, this is incoming. Fly, this is coming. This is coming. Oh, that's your point, Joe. I see you. I see what you're saying. I'm losing the hair so quick that it's all in my Kangos. All right, here we go. I'm going to put on members only chat, all right? So if you're not a member, look to the description and get it. All right? Look to the description and become a member. We got a lot of balders. I get it, Zander. It's one of my pet peeves when people spell my name with an X. Even though my Nana used to yell at me. Rest in peace to my beautiful Nana. She used to yell at me because my dad, when he named me, first off, my name is Alexander. My dad wanted Zander with a Z. My Nana used to say it's an X. Alexander is spelled with an X. Where are you getting a Z from? And I used to say, come on, Nana. I like the Z. I am a big fan of the Z. What else we got in here? A couple supers. Zander, can I request for a Big Dom signed Kango? Who do you think I am? Brian Pumper, a member of the Mafia? I can't get that. Although I do have a great picture of me. Let me see if I can find that. I have a great picture of me and Big Dom at the Maxwell Awards. I probably won't be able to find it. I think that's on a camera. It's not on my phone. I got a great photo of me. I also have a picture of me there with the great Jalen Hurts. Nick Sirianni, that's where he gave me the weak ass handshake. Yeah, Big Z does sound better than Big X. I don't think that would be the name. Yeah, Fly, here's the difference. Fly says, Zander, I shaved my head 3 years ago when I turned 40. Best decision. The difference is, Fly, you were 40. I'm fucking 26. Although I am about to go like military cut maybe. And just because I wear hats every day anyway. Does it matter? Doesn't matter. Marchetti says, Eagles wearing all black Sunday. Barkley's deaf playing. Are they wearing all black? Did they put that out? Did they put that out? I missed one super chat too, by the way. Where is it? Oh, James Carver. Have a blessed 2025. Thanks for a great 2024. Great stuff, James. Thank you, man. Christopher said it's not a good poll. You can have both of them or neither of them. Why do we have to live in a world where you can only get one? LOL. I guess, Chris. All right, let me pull this member list. Anybody else becoming a member? You got a couple minutes here to become a member to join. Bob Brown checks in. Zander, keep in mind with the record is within reach. The Super Bowl is not that close yet. That's fair. I'd like to get the record too. I'm kind of torn on it, to be honest with you guys. I'd love to get the record. I'd love to get the record, but I understand both sides of it. I do. I understand both sides of it. Boda. All right, I'm pulling this member list. Here we go. All right, I got it. Chris Scott, Happy New Year, brother. Happy New Year. I hope everybody has a fantastic New Year's Eve. Everybody be safe tonight. Come on, man. If you need to get a driver, get a driver. If you're in Philly and you got an issue, you call up Big Z. I'll come pick you up. All right? I'll come make it happen for you. I'm not a drinker, so I won't be drinking tonight. I got work in the morning. Boda, what's up, man? Good to see you. I saw your comment. You thought I looked rested. I think I don't know if that's a compliment or not, Boda. I appreciate it, though. M. Reyes says, y'all have a safe and happy New Year. Thank you, brother. You too. James Jones, man. Team's looking good, brother. Congratulations. You guys could get to 12 wins. That's impressive stuff for your quarterback, man. That's a big turnaround. So congrats to you. Finally out of obscurity. He says, yo, I'm here, but I'm at doctor's appointment. Probably moments where I can't comment. Yo, Wallies do look like a mafia crime organization. Geeks. I don't know what the hell you're saying, James Jones. Shonuff says overload on testosterone. Shonuff, that's probably correct with me. That's what the people in my life tell me too. I'm too jacked up. I saw that. All right, we got all the super chats. Good stuff. Shows tomorrow. Absolutely, Philly Don. Absolutely. There will be shows tomorrow. We will be here. Flex, you don't know me. I'll come to Kensington. I'll come pick you up in Kensington. I'll come to Frankfurt. I don't care. I've been to all those places. Born and raised here, Flex. Park says the record too close. Let them play as a win to win it both. Maybe Park. We'll see. All right, here we go. I got the member list. Now let me make the giveaway, which you guys are all calling fake news. All right. Where is this thing? Here we go. I'm going to do another giveaway too, by the way, over on my X account. All right. I want to try and juice up my following over there because I just started the new account like a couple months ago. I'm just coming across the, Abe, you ain't wrong. Showing up, Zander would blend in. Twiz, you're wrong. Twiz is out in like the middle of a farm in like West Virginia, and he's talking shit to me. Yo, Twiz, worry about your animals out back, dude. Come on, Twiz. Come on, Twiz. All right, here we go. Saquon Barkley jersey giveaway. I love it. I love it. By the way, I had like 5 winners on the show last week on Christmas Eve. I did take the day off on Christmas and the day after because we had my personal family Christmas and then we had our cousin Christmas. So I didn't send everything out until I sent out most yesterday, and then I have 2 more to send out today. Bombay, I sent your coat. Jarrell Ray, I sent yours. Clary Voy, I didn't get his information till later, so I just got his Saquon jersey out. And then Willie and John, if you're in here, I'm sending yours out today. Willie, you won the Saquon Fly shirt, and then Glisson won the Salute to Service as well. So I'm sending that all out. I will send all that out for everybody. So just got to give me a second. Most people are getting their stuff right away, but the holiday kind of put a little bit of a delay on because I took off, and I also had like all of my Christmas shopping to do. Like every bit of it. I had to go and buy my girlfriend a couple gifts. I had to buy my family some gifts. I had to get my Pollyanna for my cousin. Had to get my white elephant gift. I had a bunch of stuff to do. So I didn't have a chance to get to the post office and ship everything out. But I did do most of them yesterday, and I will finish them out today. And if you're a winner of the Saquon Barkley jersey today and you get me your info, I'll send that out ASAP. All right. I'll send that out ASAP. All right, here we go. Got the member list up. We're in after hours here on Birds 365. All right. After hours is maybe my favorite part, my favorite edition of Birds 365. All right. Yeah. See, I have all my cousins over on Christmas, like you guys are saying here, like I told you guys. None of them left with any Eagle merch, and none of them are members on the channel. I started chirping them. I said, all you guys are being replaced. All of my great cousins, you're replaced. I have people that support me more and are now my cousins, okay? So will I replace them or will I add to them? I don't know yet, all right? I told them, I'm like, I'm not seeing it. None of you guys are members. None of you guys are watchers. None of you guys are likers, subscribers, commenters. I mean, Joe Whip supports me more than my cousins. James Carver supports me more than my cousins. So you're right. When you guys say you guys are my cousins, you're correct. All right. Wayne the Pain, you should have got I saw your comment. You got yours. Thank you, bro. Bombay, got you, bro. Congrats on your jacket. That's one of the best giveaways. That jacket is fresh, man. Eagle starter jacket. Cool as hell. Bobby, I'll show you where your name is. All right. James Jones, I love you, brother. You're my favorite Commander fan in the world. All right. M. Krause. I love it. I love it, Reyes. I love it. All right, let me show you guys. I got the list up here. All right, who wants me to search their name? I'll search anyone's name because it's been a minute since we've done the not that long, like a week. Sig Lord says, check your DM on X about the X Space. Sig Lord, I will do that. All right. I get a lot of DMs. I always get back to everybody though. That's the thing. I try and respond to everybody that reaches out the best I can, at least. The DMs are weird because they get lost. All right. Follow me over there though, and stay tuned because I'm going to do a giveaway on my X account. Like I said, I'm going to make it retweet. All right. Follow me and tag an Eagle fan in the comments, and I'm going to do a giveaway over there. I might do something fresh. I might do like a one of the jackets maybe, or a Cooper DeJean jersey maybe, or something like that. That would be cool. So if you're not following me on X, what are you waiting for? It's at Real Zander. Go and follow me there. All right. Daz says X is terrible. Daz, I talk to you on X all the time. What are you talking about? All right, here we go. Who wants me to search? Philly Don, you're on there. Where's my name? Terrence wants his name searched. There you are, Terrence. Boom. You're in. All right. Look for mine. I feel like I'm getting robbed. Bruce, you're paying $5 a month to support the channel. And you're paying $5 because we're bringing you content all day, every day, Bruce. You're not getting robbed. And you're on there. So quit crying, Bruce. Quit crying, Bruce. Q the God says, check mine. Here we go, Q. I like your name. Q, there he is. Q the God. Joe Whip. There you are, Joe. All right. The Krause kids. No, the Krause cousins, Wayne. Jay Parker. I'll search you because you updated it from Justin Parker. Okay. You should be in there. There you are. It updated automatically. All right, man. I just pulled the list like a second ago. So you should be good there. Anybody else need me to search them? I check mine. Jabari, I saw you got gifted one last week, I think. There you are, Jabari. Jabari Johnson right there. Check for me. Charles Menifee. There he is. What's up, Charles? Appreciate your support as always, my man. Maurice, I'll check you, Maurice. There he is. You're in here, Maurice. Terrence, what the fuck did he do this weekend? Terrence says, Zander, stop hating on Micah Parsons. He's from my city, Harrisburg, PA. He and his whole family loved the Eagles until he got drafted to the Cowboys. Generational talent. Yeah, he wants to be here. He wants to be an Eagle. Come on. Oh, Charles. Charles, I check your name for you. I do what you ask of me, and then you hit me with a War Eagle? You got to be fucking kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Bobby Dobert. Let me check that. There you are, Bobby. Boom. You're in there. Who else wanted me to check? Why are you saying pause? Did I do a pause? All right. Who else wanted me to look? Ray Robb. All right. I'm going to do a couple more. If you want me to look, just say it. All right. Ray Robb's here. Ray, I got you. You see it? All right. Chris Scott. I'll check you, Chris. You were asking nicely earlier. There he is. There's Big C, too. There's Terry Hayes. Mac Main's in here. Brian Pumper's in here. Big C. There you are, brother. And you have to search it. You see it, Big C? Miz. I'll check Miz. Chip Snyder. Let me check Chip Snyder. Chip Snyder. There you are. Let me check Miz. Miz. There you are. Paul Hervochin. Paul Hervochin? How do I say that? There he is. Hervachon. Flex not going to win, he says. Flex, are you down and out, Flex? What's going on with you? Oh, I like your picture, Flex. You got the dude who had to throw the ball back. Bobby Bellamy checks in. ED, 379 attempts, 2105. 2K say has 345 attempts, 2,005 yards. Love the show. Go Birds. Thanks, brother. Love you too. And go Birds. The one thing about that, though, is, well, yeah, so it's technically Saquon is, higher yards per carry. Now, if he got 379 attempts in another game, would you add that in? Because it's like, is it technically more impressive to do 379 in 16 games versus in 17? I don't know. I don't know how you judge that. Bob Brown in here. Bob Brown, you didn't fall off, brother. You're right here. El Yepa. There he is. All right, here's the one rule, all right, with the Saquon Barkley jersey. So the other giveaways, it's not you can only win once because I'm giving away different stuff. With the Saquon Barkley jersey, you can't win twice because this is a set giveaway. This is separate than Zander Claus, all right? We set this at the beginning of the year. You don't have to be present to win. All you have to do is be a member, okay? And you can't win twice. So if you won the Saquon Barkley jersey giveaway already and your name is called, we're doing a new winner, all right? You can't win the Saquon jersey twice, all right? You can win the other. If I'm giving away a hat and you already won, you can win that. If I'm giving away a sweatshirt and you already won something, you can win that. If I'm giving away a Princess Diana jacket, you can win that, all right? Saquon Barkley, you can't win two Saquon jerseys, all right? Here we go. Let's start it up. We got one winner here. All right. Confirm. We'll do 3 shuffles and then we'll pick our winner. Now, remember. All right. Remember. You don't have to be present to win on this. So I hope our winner's in the chat, but our winner might not be in the chat. All right. Do 3 shuffles here. There's 1 shuffle. There's 2 shuffles. There's 3 shuffles, all right? Senor Football, you're here. Lucius Show, you're here. Chip Tooth, you're here. And Jay, there you are, Matt. Sue Chick is here. There's the great Flexing and Stepping is here. Right, that's a funny comment. All right. Yes, Wayne, 24 hours. That's the rule, all right? You got 24 hours to claim your prize. All right, 24 hours. Now, if they don't claim it, I'll do another pulling tomorrow. We'll do another giveaway tomorrow. Ryan, you're in there. I'm sure you're in there. You want me to search for your ass? Because Ryan's a complainer. There's 6 Ryans in here. There you are, Ryan. You're the Ryan with the no last name. All right, the Ryan with the no last name. Last week, Clary Voy was our winner. The 3 shuffles makes it so only cousins win. You guys are my cousins. Right, that complaint is now out the window. All right. Because you guys are my cousins. So yes, a cousin will win today. All right. Here we go. Suplex. Nobody complains more than you, Suplex. In fact, you're on my nerves, Suplex. I love you though. Here we go. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Brian, no way. Oh my God, that's the greatest win of all time. Brian Pumper. Holy shit, that is hilarious. Where is he? I know he's in here. Where's he at? Oh my God, that is freaking hilarious. Get that man a Hurts jersey. Get that man a Hurts jersey. Holy Pump. Please tell me you're in here. Please tell me Pumper's in here. Did Pumper leave? No. I wanted Pump to be in here and start talking shit. That would be so funny. That would be so funny. And Matt, it's not a must be present. It's not a must be present. It's not a must be present. All right. Flex says, get him out of here. He's probably making a super chat. He might be. Give him a McKee jersey. Oh my gosh. That is hilarious. You know, I know some of you guys might not like Brian Pumper, but I like Brian Pumper. All right. Because Brian Pumper is a big supporter of the channel. 1 super chat, 2 super chats today, 3 super chats today. 4 super chats today, 5 super chats today. You know, he's a big supporter, man. That stuff goes a long way. You guys might not realize that. You might just think, oh, it's a measly $5, but that stuff goes a long way in helping us, man. That stuff goes a long way. So Brian's a big supporter of the channel. He's funny as hell too. Yeah, Twiz agreed. Pumper supports the hell out of the channel. He really does. All right, Pumper is the winner. Can you believe it, everybody? Pumper is the winner. I wish so bad he was in here right now. I wish so bad he was in here today. Because, man, Big C says, do another giveaway. Yo, Big C, we didn't gain a single member today. If we gained a couple members, then I would have said, all right, I'll give away something. But now I'm saving it all for Jacob for the after the game. I'm doing the big giveaway next year. No, not next year. No, it will be next year. It will be 2025. But next week, all right? Next week. So we're gonna do. I still got like 6 or 7 jerseys at least. I've given away a bunch of them, but I still got the Diana jacket. I still have a starter jacket. I still got a couple Salute to Service sweatshirts. I still got the Eagles hockey sweatshirt, which is really cool. I got another Fly Saquon Fly shirt. I got a bunch of hats, bunch of beanies. I still got a bunch of stuff. I would love to notify him. I have no other way to notify him, though. All right? I have no other way. I don't know who Pumper is. I don't know if he has an X account. I don't know. He is just Brian Pumper in the chat. That is it. I don't know if he's on X, Big C. I don't follow him over there. Yeah, Don, I'm doing a big one for the Legend members. So I think you're a Legend member. I'm doing a giveaway for the Legend members. Twiz, I wanted you to get a win because I know your birthday was last week. All right. That was fun. That was fun, and that's a funny winner, man. Let's make that full screen for a second. Look at that. Brian Pumper. The greatness of Brian Pumper. He has earned his prize. Good stuff. That was fun. All right, everybody. I appreciate you. I love you all. Hit that like button for me. Thanks, everybody, for the super chats today, for the support, for the likes, for the comments. You name it. We appreciate it. When you see Brian Pumper in another chat, you tell him to reach out to me. All right. And I'll get him his jersey. I know he'll be on the Sill show, so he'll get his prize. I'm sure he'll get his prize, but very funny. All right, everybody. See you next time, everybody, on Birds 365.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate, inside the locker room, and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.